Hey, Keith Myers here from Susky Air Squadron. Just wanted to share some more information about what's been going on here in Pennsylvania, and going to talk a little bit about the Department of Environmental Protection today in Pennsylvania. So without further ado, and any glitches, we're going to go to the slideshow here. Now, there's a little bit of information about us. Sorry, some of this is redundant from some of the videos. New documentaries coming out. We're looking to get some gear, some monitoring equipment if you want to help us. So yeah, we're dropping all kinds of papers and doing a worldwide experiment with a data dump for you to see if you have some kind of solar radiation modification going on in your neck of the woods. Also, take what you see today and use it or pass it on to somebody, please. I'm going to move pretty fast here. So let's start out with chemtrails versus stratospheric aerosol injection. I'm just calling them chemtrails because I don't even care anymore. And I've proven it. I've absolutely proven that they exist. If somebody wants to refute it, let me know and we can come and do a share together. Also, the conspiracy theorist versus a logical human being. I'll take that too. I don't care. Let's just speak intellectually and use some logic here. So, yeah, I've worked in textile industry. I started out doing a lot of data and designing and inventing displays, that kind of stuff, and also administration. Moved into more construction and got involved with the areas of solar photovoltaic and solar thermal applications. Sponsored research at Penn State, Berks campus, and also Penn State Harrisburg for senior capstone projects in engineering. I've spoken at Carnegie Mellon Energy Week. I've written basically papers for the Department of Energy, trying to win awards and things like that. So I've always had an interest in inventing stuff, mostly in the cogeneration field, where you're making solar PV and solar thermal at the same time. They complement each other because if you can get the heat away from the panels, then the panels work better, and you're just using more of everything that's there. So I have a little bit of a background in that, and that's kind of what got me interested into what's going on here in Pennsylvania. We've got all kinds of stratospheric injections going on for a long time now, but I only really had a chance to get with it last year and do something about it. And what I'm doing is what you're seeing today. We're getting the word out, and we're talking about these kind of things that are showing up all across the mid-state. This is right over Fort Indian Town Gap, where I kind of grew up, and they're just dumping these things willy-nilly. Or there's definitely a plan, purpose for it, but they're not being forthright with it. So somebody's doing this, absolutely, and I'm going to prove it to you right now. And what's even worse is that throughout these different events and things like that, what was so disheartening was I tried to reach out to people that are meant to be in place to protect us, and they're just covering for somebody or something. This is an event in Hershey that really got my interest and really kind of made me wake up and do something about it. So I'm going to tell you my story here in a minute and my dealings with the DEP, but I just want to show you what's going on here. Now, a few days later, we had this Allentown, New Milford event here. This was really concerning because the sky was completely black, and it lasted like a good part of the day. Now, Allentown's like an hour or so away, but that's facing east, and you can easily see that far what's going on over there. So yeah, and the particulates on these days in Hershey were showing up even higher than what it was reading, I think, over in that area. So who to turn to? See something, say something. Well, okay, I'm calling people on their line. I had like an emergency. I called different ones to report, stuff. And I got a hold of field guys on a few different occasions. Once while one of the events was happening, I was just so frustrated. I just wanted him to go out and look at it, and never got a call back or anything. And it's fair enough because the field guys, they don't know anything. Now, what I did do was go and send some emails to some people that were higher up and basically told them, what I thought was happening. I've seen these particulates being launched out of planes. And I was like, well, maybe, do you know what's going on here? Because it could be a terrorist group. They've had small planes, private airports. They train for 9/11 and 19 or Flight 93, all this other stuff. So I just wanted to find out what's happening. Now, at this point, I was more concerned all about the particulates because I figured that, I would see some different things. I wasn't prepared to find out what I found out. This particular weekend, I found out about the ambient air monitoring network. And across the whole state, they spend a lot of money and a lot of time building these things that measure different parameters of air quality. And they're located all across the state. And they basically monitor different things, depending on where they are for different reasons. Factories, sulfuric acid, maybe some fracking sites for other things. I'm not exactly sure, but they have this in place so they can monitor everything. And the PDF is in a data dump. It's ginormous. So this website right here is a really cool place that you can go and explore and pull up all it's basically a search engine for all this data. Now I can go on here and I can pull all kinds of reports. And that's what I did all weekend from the 8th to the 10th. And I found this. I sent this to the DP as soon as I found it because I thought it was very alarming. And these numbers here are 12,000 sustained in the solar radiation. Now, again, I'm sorry, this is redundant, but should be zeros here at night. Solar radiation is measured in watts per meter squared by a pyranometer, and it's picking up some other signature. And this shouldn't be here. The max that you're going to get at noon on the sunniest day in Pennsylvania is probably 1,100 to 1,200. This is 12,000 to 13,000. That should not be there, and that indicates a high level of electromagnetic radiation. So you think you'd be concerned about that, right? So here's another one. Here's the Allentown spot. Look, you got Allentown and you got New Milford, and they're both concurrently making this 12,000, plus, numbers. Now, what you see here is that these numbers, the outside temperature and the resultant direction, are also skewed because the high amount of radiation is basically pegging out this instrumentation. So this should not be here. These 3s and 2s, and it's just like holding needle in one spot. Now you see there's other deletions, regarding ozone and other things that are happening. Now let's go over here to New Milford. Same thing, got 12,000. This is 440. This is at night. Look, 1, 2, 3, 5 a.m. This should only be coming online here and going to bed, when the sun goes down. None of this should be here. It's up to 13,200 and some. Now, this all was deleted at some point. The solar radiation numbers for the month. And look here, that was also deleted as well. So 19th and the 20th. Now, all this other data correlates with this because the resultant direction is pegged out at 5s and 4s. And also the outdoor temperature is 3s and 2s. It's just staying right there. Everything else around is 30s, 50s, that kind of thing. They've also deleted ozone. Maybe not on this particular day, the 22nd. It could be doctored. I have no idea. I don't trust the data, because once I confronted them and showed them what was going on, then it all disappeared. Here's another proof: 12,500. The historical ranked positions. So this is like the largest for that. Look, between these two time frames. Now I went back and pulled it again right between these two, and it's all gone. It's more like what should really be there. It was all deleted. So I went to Harrisburg, and I thought, well, something's really wrong, or we're definitely under a terrorist attack. So I went to PEMA, which is the emergency management on Elmerton Avenue, early 9 o'clock. I went in there and said I was basically needed to talk to some people as soon as possible. And I did. And I talked to these gentlemen, and they told me they really couldn't figure out what was going on. I showed them these 3 different events. I had probably about 50 different documents, and I laid them out on the table, and they couldn't figure it out. But they did refer me to a gentleman at the Bureau of Radiation Protection, and I called him, and I left the I left Pima, and I went over to the Rachel Carson building, and he called me back, and I gave him all these dates and times of what was going on, and he about 4 or 5 days later, I think he called me back and wanted to assure me that it wasn't kind of a radiation that they track there, and that would be associated with monitoring of 3 Mile Island, which I'm sure everybody knows the history of that here in central PA. But yeah, it wasn't that kind of radiation or any of those things in that spectrum that would come up. And I kind of knew that because it was so consistent and so prolonged, So then I went over to the DEP, and I was met by a representative of the Air Quality Monitoring Division. And he was kind of disinterested in talking to me and made me present everything in the lobby. I had hundreds of documents, and they didn't want to hear about it. In hindsight, I knew something wasn't quite right, because when I started speaking about things, and the security guard there at the kiosk was like, "Hey, there's another room over here," which I found out later was room like 105, because that's where they have all the public meetings that I attended later on for the Citizens Advisory Council, which I'll get into later. But yeah, so he kind of made me put everything out on the guard table and explain it, and people were getting uncomfortable because I was talking about high levels of electromagnetic radiation, particulates, potential terrorist attacks, that kind of stuff. And who wouldn't, raised an eyebrow, but was disinterested. And basically they dismissed me and told me, oh, it's just some kind of glitch in the sensors or the systems, which my other videos I prove wrong. It's absolutely, that's not the case. The equipment was working perfectly. And so when I left this note with all these different dates and all the different anomalies that had happened, and basically wanted to share with them, well, what's going on, right? Well, I'll tell you what happened with that later. It was all deleted. Spoiler alert, it was all deleted. And I'll show you that later on. I made other calls, though, to everybody that I could, the governor's office, who didn't even have their voicemail set up, attorney generals, Department of Health, attorney general. And I did make a call to the secretary of the Department of Environmental Protection. And I got a call back from our associate, and we talked. They had me on speakerphone. I don't know exactly who was in the room, but I told them that somebody's lying and deleting data there, and it's all like war crimes, like Nuremberg, experimentation without any kind of consent, and it's not even it's not even experimentation. It's something more nefarious than that, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. So yeah, then I actually went to the Citizen Advisory Council, which was a meeting on May 14th, and I went in there and I told them that I was going to speak about the EPA's new funding opportunity to get underserved communities more air quality data. And I just kind of thought that was funny, because I was having problem getting the data, and they buried the website so far. And I have a link for it down here that you can go check it out directly. But if you were just searching for it, the ambient air website data, you're not ever going to find it. It was through somebody at the DEP that actually sent this to me. And again, I'm not saying everybody in the DEP is complicit or trying to do nefarious things. It's just one of those things that there's a certain division that is covering up for somebody. And maybe it's themselves, maybe it's the EPA, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. So anyway, I spoke, and I just said my piece about everything else like that. And I appreciate the gentleman that ran the meeting, because he amended the minutes. And when I went in there, I gave them, and you can see this online. You can go to their thing and see the PDF that I submitted. But if you go to the minutes, he also said that I did comment on anomalies from sensors at certain locations, including high levels of solar radiation and the deletion of data from air quality data. And I heard crickets. I got, there's like 20 some people on the council. And when I got done saying my piece, I asked them, please, does anybody have any idea of what could be making these kind of high electromagnetic numbers? And nobody had an answer or even a comment. And a month later, after I did this, they all have my email. They all have a way to reach out to me, and I have nothing. Not only that, but the people at PEMA never called me back. The other people at DEP never really wanted to probably see or speak to me again because they know that they're doing something wrong and they're covering up. But I think it's so funny because it's like if I was gonna cover something up, I make sure it was covered up. It's just kind of like you got the Keystone Cops, running some kind of nefarious eugenics thing. I mean, I can't come up with an answer. Why would you be combining particulates, okay, with electromagnetic radiation? Think about inhaling metal objects and then jumping in a big microwave. What do you think that's going to happen? Nobody. I don't think there's any health benefits. Why don't you ask your doctor if he recommends that, maybe you should have a regimen like that. So anyway, I'm just rambling on, but I'm really frustrated, and help us out. Start spreading the word. Do what you can, because don't be discouraged. I mean, people are, telling me all the time that, yeah, do your own research and this and that. Well, I did, and now you can use it. I'm just tired of the whole, everybody's quiet about it. The DP doesn't want to talk about it. The National Guard doesn't want to talk about it. Local congressmen don't want to talk about it. So I'm talking about it. So why don't you guys talk about it too? And I'll see what we can do. Thanks again. It's Keith Myers, and please watch my other videos. You can see what's going on. I got an episode, Doctors and Scientists, coming out with Dr. Brian Hooker from Children's Health Defense. He's an amazing guy. So thanks again. Talk to you soon.